crimes allegedly committed while serving as Gbagbo's budget minister. He was later charged with murder under Ghanaian law, which was an unorthodox move as the alleged killings took place in Côte d'Ivoire.
Sudan was struck by a series of explosions which sparked a huge fire at a munition factory in Khartoum. The government of President Omar al-Bashir convened an emergency meeting to respond to the situation. Khartoum has pointed accusing fingers at Israel for the attacks. We have details of that story in this report.
Of explosions Wednesday, followed by a giant fire at a weapons factory in Tarmouk, south of the Sudanese capital, Khartoum. An emergency meeting right away under the presidency of Omar al-Bashir. At the end of the meeting, the first vice president dismissed the government's first version of facts, which had ruled out the possibility of an external cause. He directly pointed to one country by name.
Israel is an aggressor state, and it is time for this state to come across someone who deters it from its aggression.
Meanwhile, a student demonstration was underway to denounce the traditional enemies of Sudan. The protesters agreed with the official version, which described the presumed objective of the Hebrew state.
The objective is to weaken our sovereignty and our capacity to make political decisions.
As Israel has faced similar accusations before, Defense Minister Ehud Barak was cautious.
I have nothing to say about this.
A top official from the Israeli Defense Ministry did indicate that Sudan was a terrorist state backed by Tehran and that it served as a crossroads for Iranian weapons on their way to Hamas. Thursday morning, the Israeli daily Haaretz reported that Sudanese opposition forces were affirming that the weapons factory belonged to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
Latest reports coming out of Syria say the government and rebel forces have agreed to a 4-day ceasefire to mark the feast of Eid al-Adha. Despite this move, residents in one town outside Aleppo have reported renewed shelling by government forces. You have details in this report.
One time, nearly 30,000 people lived in Atarib, this town located some 30 kilometers west of Aleppo. But the relentless shelling and air raids by Syrian forces drove most away. A few hundred residents remain, carrying on their lives as best they can. They say they prefer to live in their homes rather than a refugee camp. Mohammed is one of them.
You can see for yourself the way we have to live. There is no bread, no water, no electricity. Rockets are launched from the military base all day and all night. We wait here and we are half dead.
Air raids and shelling have reduced the town to rubble. There has been no let-up in weeks. Life is hard and growing harder. Basic necessities are practically non-existent.
The situation is disastrous. We have no electricity or water. There aren't enough basic supplies for our children, not even milk. They have trouble sleeping at night because of the noise of the planes and rockets.
Planes are bombing us all the time. It's almost every day. Nothing but explosions. It's unbearable.
The source of the shelling is the 46th Division military base, 4 kilometers outside of town. Rebels surrounded the base several weeks ago, but have not yet taken it.
Well, we now take our second break. We'll be right back. Over now to sports. 9-time European Champions League winners Real Madrid saw their 2-game unbeaten run stalled by German giants Borussia Dortmund. The Bundesliga champions won 2-1, but Real coach Jose Mourinho is still optimistic about making it through to the next stage. Meanwhile, Manchester City's hope of going through to the next stage were dealt a huge blow after they were soundly beaten by Dutch champions Ajax. We have details of those stories in this report.
Some of those ways to help predict the football scores from Wednesday night. They were certainly scores with a difference, and the Manchester City boss Roberto Mancini admitted that his side now need a miracle in the Champions League after they were soundly beaten by Ajax on Wednesday. The Italian blamed himself for their 3-1 defeat, which leaves his side bottom of Group D. City went into the game knowing that they needed a win, having got just 1 point from their opening 2 games, and they got off to a decent start thanks to Samir Nasri, but Siem de Jong pulled the Dutch side level by half-time. And they went on from there. Goals from Nicolas Moisander and Christian Eriksen ensured all 3 points for Ajax.
I said that it's my fault for this defeat, but in the pitch you are always 11 players, and we play with 3 only for 5 minutes because we wanted to have 1 player in the hole. And for this reason, I don't think that it's important to play with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We play always 11. If you have a spirit or you have a quality to play in Champions League, you can play. If not, you can't.
Well, Jose Mourinho remains optimistic despite Real Madrid's defeat to Borussia Dortmund. The Spanish champions were beaten 2-1 on their trip to Germany. They are struggling with injuries at the minute and had only won once in 23 visits to Germany, so it was never going to be easy. Robert Lewandowski opened the scoring for the home side. Cristiano Ronaldo's astonishing run of goals continued. He pulled it level, but Marcel Schmelzer grabbed the winner for Dortmund to put them top of the table after 3 games. And it's pretty tight, though.
It's a very hard group, and in this moment with this result there is still a gap between us and the other 2. So when you go 7 and 6 and there is a gap for 3 and 1, in this moment we and Borussia, we are in a better situation to go. But why can't City make 10 points? 9 plus 1. They can make 10 points. So I think us and Borussia, we have to think about do 11.
Well, Jose Mourinho's got his maths sorted out, but to help us mere mortals, this is what he's talking about in Group D. Dortmund leading the way currently on 7 points. That's 1 more than Real Madrid at the halfway stage. Ajax have moved off the bottom with that victory over Manchester City, but City just the 1 point to show for their efforts, so in danger going out at the group stage for the 2nd year in a row.
And before we end this edition of the news, a recap of our top stories. More than 1,000 Gambian pilgrims have joined millions of Muslims performing the final rites of this year's Hajj. Stakeholders in disaster risk mitigation have concluded a consultative forum where they sought to review the progress made in combating the threat of disasters. The African Union has pledged logistical support to the government of Mali as Bamako battles to regain control of northern Mali from heavily armed Islamists. And the government of Sudan has convened a crisis cabinet meeting to discuss the explosion at a munition factory on Wednesday. That brings us to the end of this edition of the news. Thanks for watching. Join us at 10 for another bulletin. Meanwhile, the President's Eid message is next.
والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله